in the shower, I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah.
So if someone interrupts me, like if my dog barks at me when I'm talking to myself in the shower, I'm like, please, this is my time. Leave me alone.
Talking to yourself is like, people don't talk about it enough. It's like, you have to do it. That's your time. That's your self-care.
It sounds really weird. I tell everyone that I Google them, and some people are really freaked out by it. They're like, oh my God, what did you get? But
did anything even come up for me? Probably not.
Quite a few things actually, but like I couldn't figure out what you studied.
Oh, okay.
That was the one thing that I couldn't find about you. Maybe I should have just looked at your LinkedIn. It probably was on there, wasn't it?
I studied fashion buying.
Oh, because that explains your transition to being an assistant buyer at Asos.
Yeah.
So have you always wanted to work in fashion?
So yeah, always wanted to go into fashion. And I think when I was like 12 years old, I was like, oh, you think fashion is like a fashion designer? That's what you think it is. And then I was introduced to buying, which is like the businessy side of fashion, like the numbers. And I just thought it was so interesting that once you create a product, you then actually have to consider, okay, if it's stores, for example, how many size smalls are going to that store and how many units do we need of this and what's the margin? Like I just found all them moving parts to actually releasing a product so interesting. So that's what made me want to get into buying. And I do think it has led to, a lot of people say Muse is like an overnight success.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I put a lot of time into things that maybe I wouldn't have thought about had I have not studied fashion buying, had I have not practiced fashion buying.
Because everyone I speak to, like when I was in school, that said they wanted to go into fashion, I'd never heard anyone say they would like specifically wanted to do buying.
Yeah.
So
no,
like
definitely.
What was it about it that was like?
I think it was just, the business side of things. I've always been very into enterprising. Like I love business and I love fashion. And I just really thought buying was where it was at. Like, don't get me wrong. It was, once I got into the industry, it's, it wasn't all what it cracked up to be. And that's what really led me to sort of say to myself, actually, I want to start my own brand and take matters into my own hands. But the experience was just amazing. Like every single day was different. I think that's the thing with fashion and even just anything in sort of industry, whether it's fashion, telly, social media. I always wanted a job where no 2 days were the same.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely have that. So yeah, I think I get bored very easily doing the same thing and it has to be like different every day. I know a lot of people feel like that. So yeah, it was also in that as well.
Because Asos is like quite a competitive grad scheme to get into, isn't it? Like I always see people on LinkedIn making the most creative like applications.
Yeah, so the onboarding process at Asos was actually something I was thinking about last night when I was reading through the questions. And I don't think I've actually like spoke about how they actually onboarded me. And it was just like the weirdest process. Like I basically got an interview. I was so excited. I got the job. And then I never heard from them for about 5 months.
That would give me so much anxiety.
Well, it was more so like I'm telling everyone I've got the job at Asos and everyone's like, oh, 5 months later, oh, when you starting at Asos? No, it was like I was like lying and I thought, oh my God, this is so cruel. Like by the end of it, I think I ended up starting in the March and I'd basically realised that they'd interviewed me and made me successful for when a role comes up. So from their perspective, it's like if someone leaves, we've got someone on there. But they never explained that to me. So I was sort of like waiting from uni for a long time to start Asos. I felt a little bit stuck because I really wanted to work at Asos, but I didn't really feel like I could get another job and say to them, oh, I might leave next week if Asos call me.
Yeah.
So I thought back on that last night and I thought, wow, like I would never do that as an employer. I think that's so savage. Like a girl fresh from uni, she's studied fashion for 3 years. She's excited to get out into the working world. She's told she's got this job and she has to wait 5 months to start.
But then that also means that it could be even longer than 5. It could have been longer than 5 months, right?
Oh,
another role not come
100%.
up.
And don't get me wrong, like it was a turn of events that, I ended up going on the most perfect department for what I'm doing. It introduced me to a lot of brands that I had never heard of before that I really aspired to be like. But yeah, I just was thinking about that last night. Like, I just don't know. It might be quite common from an employer's point of view. But I think it's quite cruel. I've never seen it.
I think of like when I got my first job, whether that was, I think that happened to me, but I think it was like slightly different that I was like going through all the security stuff.
Yeah.
So then it wasn't
No,
like
I was
knew
just like entry level fashion girl, just wanted to get in there and they had me waiting.
that would cause me so much anxiety and upset. Like,
I
what did you
was
do?
so embarrassed. I remember we was like, I went out with my mum at Christmas to get a new coat because I was going to be a commuter, and then it was still, I didn't start till the summer.
What did you do for 5 months? Like,
I was just like working. I think I was just like working in a store in a shopping centre, like just waiting to get the call.
Oh, that must be really disheartening as like a graduate. It was
so disheartening. That's the perfect word for it. It was so disheartening.
But I know I still see that on LinkedIn, like a lot of people talking about how like Asos is like their dream company to go work for. So what advice would you give to anyone that's aspiring to like kind of go into Asos? Or into buying even? To
be totally honest, Asos specifically was an amazing place to work. It was, the experience was amazing. The people there were lovely. From the moment I started and then from like what I know now, it's quite stressful from like a progression point of view. But if you go into fashion knowing that maybe you want to take it into your own hands one day, like, I don't know if that totally should stop you from going somewhere that you dream of working at, because like I didn't get a pay rise at Asos my whole 2 years I was there.
Oh wow!
But I learned so much, and I enjoyed it. And it took me like a long time to really get over that. Like I wanted the next level and I wanted more money. And you know, you study for 3 years. Like if you're like me, a lot of my friends had gone straight into work after school, after college. I was like behind financially, and then I started working at Asos and I was like, oh, I'm still poor. Like I'm still like, especially after travel, I was commuting in and, you know, people rent and stuff. So there's so many things that just like eat your wage each month. And I was just like, oh, I'm still just like, you know, I need a bit more money. But, you know, I got into a headspace for my final year there where I was like, I just need to be so rich in experience here. And that's where I'm sort of building. So yeah, I think just going to that space with just like a bit of a stronger future mindset.
Yeah.
Personally, I think if you actually want to work your way up in fashion, I think startup brands are where it's at.
Okay.
I think progression is much quicker. You're able to speak to a lot higher people. There's people in Asos that I just would never have even spoke to because they were so high up and there were so many layers to it. And when I think about the girls who work for me, I think about how my journey would have been like a little bit more different if I just not took a chance on a smaller brand, but just worked with a smaller brand that isn't Asos. Like I do feel like you're exposed to a lot more in a smaller brand. Like all my girls were at my London Fashion Week show, like working runway. And it's like you just get, and they all get time with me. And as I'm hiring more senior people, I'm making sure there's not layers. They're able to like directly speak to these people with loads of experience. So I think if you're from a fashion point of view, get in with a startup.
I always think as well, people always think startups are a little bit more risky.
No, absolutely.
But actually, I think with industries like fashion, there's a lot of risk anyway. Like people are looking for smaller brands now to buy from.
Absolutely. I mean, I actually hired one of the girls that I used to work with at Asos.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I waited 1.5 years to ask her to come over. I was never going to expect her to leave Asos and come take a chance on my brand. You know, you do have to prove yourself as a startup. But if you can find a brand that's been operating for 2-3 years, you know, they're big on socials. It looks like, you know, a fun thing to be a part of. Try and get in with that way, because sometimes like bigger brands, you can just get lost in it. It's just literally the classic saying of like a big pond, little fish.
And they always want people, like they always want a longest list of requirements. Whereas I think with, like when I've been at hiring, I've always looked at people that are like, look like they're hungry, like they want to be involved.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like that makes a massive difference.
Absolutely,
in a company.
Ambition is everything.
But what was it like? So what was the transition into starting Odd Muse? Like, did you just wake up one day and think, I'm going to start my own brand?
It was actually over COVID. I just spent far too much time with myself and was just like, I just want to do this myself. I actually got moved from my department as well onto beauty. And I think beauty buying is completely different to fashion. At least for me it was. And yeah, I was just really upset by it. And I had actually been working on Odd Muse like just as a hobby. Like it was on my iPad, just on my commute in, like writing ideas down, designing. So I felt like I had like all these like little bits and I just sort of pieced it together. And I remember my mum just like begged me not to quit. I don't know, I just had one day, it was actually the girl who I ended up hiring. I had actually made my way back to the department and they was going to move her off so I could come back.
Oh no.
And I just felt so bad. So I rang her and I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to quit.
Oh my God.
I've got a brand that I'm starting. I was going to like manage to, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm sure ASOS will have me back. I'm sure someone somewhere will let me work for them if it doesn't plan out. And I think I was 21 at the time, when you're 21 or 22 at the time, when you're that young, you're living with your parents, you got nothing to lose. Just like, if you're in that position, just do it. That's like, I've never looked back, and it sounds so scary, but like, what would my life be if I didn't do that?
But to start a brand like that, there must be like quite a lot of costs and stuff behind it.
That was a whole thing. Like, I spent every penny.
So like all of your savings?
All of my savings. I was like 22 years old. I had about £12,000 in the bank, and that I'd saved.
Pretty good going for a 22-year-old.
Well, yeah, I was doing like, oh my God, like leading up to launching of Muse, I was very aware my ASOS wage wasn't going to cut it. So I learned like very basics of graphic design, and I would make menus for local restaurants, and I would do anything like brochures and stuff like that. I didn't try and like make it a big thing on social media and start making for different brands. I literally just was going to local companies like, do you need a bit of help? Like, I can design you a new logo. I can like make you a brochure. Restaurants, I can do your menu. And that's how I built up the funds for Odd Muse. Very, very random.
Does anyone know that you decided that?
Not really. It's so funny. But yeah, I used to do that. I used to literally stay up till like 4 a.m. doing all the stuff and then log on at ASOS.
Oh my God.
I don't know how I ever done that. Like, I can't stay up till like 10 o'clock these days. But, you know, again, while you're young, take advantage of like your energy. And yeah.
I wish I did a lot more of that, because I always used to think I was tired back then, and now I'm like, nothing is tired now than it was back then. But I know that Odd Muse is basically founded on like the principles of slow fashion. So why was it important for you to create a slow fashion brand as opposed to fast fashion?
So when I started at ASOS, I obviously, like I mentioned, I'd come from uni, very low wage. And I don't know, I just felt like all that was being promoted to girls of my age was fast fashion. Like, I genuinely didn't know that there was like this middle ground between like YSL, unattainable high luxury, and PLT. And then I started working at ASOS with like premium mid-luxury brands. Like, they were all in Australia. And I just thought, why is no one trying to sell me £100 jacket like that I could wear over and over again? I just didn't feel like there was anyone bridging the gap between fast fashion and luxury. And almost the market was assuming that younger women in the UK can only buy fast fashion and that's all they'll buy. And then I started really thinking about it, like, how much overconsumption does this actually promote?
Yeah.
How much money are people actually spending? So then I sort of come up with the idea of investment fashion and like wearing things over and over again, like normalizing outfit repeating. And I think the products always stuck to that message. Like, there are like, this is the first piece I ever designed and I still wear it like 4 years later. So I think also my mission was clear, but my products always lived through that. So like all the dresses we release go into, they're not a summer collection. We can sell it to you in the winter and stuff like that. So I think it was just slowing down fashion, but coming from an approach that no one else was really hitting.
I mean, you pretty much answered my like next question when I was going to talk to you about sustainability and like what the transition was like between working at ASOS and then starting your own brand in terms of sustainability. But like, does that influence your like, because it influences your color palettes, right? Because you pick very like, they're like
core colors.
Yeah.
They're like core colors. And then we actually have started doing like more seasonal colors. So like in the summer, we'll do like one piece in one color and it'll be like the smallest order run. So we do that. Like, you have to balance like trend and sustainability.
Like, I did read that you come from a very small town. And did you ever find that when you're from a small town and you have a big dream that seems completely abnormal to where you're from, it's not, you kind of get not picked on, but like people really doubt how you can manage it or like accomplish what you want. I
think for me, like, yeah, I feel like I'm definitely from a small town, but, you know, I don't know. I just feel like 2020 was such a game-changing year. Like, we were all in small towns, but we were all connecting And I literally saw that as the biggest opportunity to reach the whole world. Like everyone was on their phone. So I think I definitely, in terms of like how it maybe was a challenge, I think, yeah, confidence was like a big thing. Like I didn't think that people from, you know, where I am from can do things but like that. But I don't know, I just feel like social media is just like the wildest place. Like there's people that like change their life dancing on TikTok. Why can I not design and show and get people to buy my stuff from all over the world? So I think talent really shines through no matter what your sort of background is.
Because I think as well on the Odd Muse socials, you are literally like the face of the brand as well. Like every single video or piece of like Odd Muse content I see, you are like...
Yeah, I kind of just like fell into it because, I don't know, I just knew straight away that like the world's, like the patience with TikTok and like people's patience is 3 seconds, like literally. Yeah. So I can't just do a photo shoot with a couple models and that be it. Like I have to be doing like content every single day. And I just felt like the most accessible way was me. So yeah, but that has really grown the brand because one thing in my journey of starting Odd Muse, there were so many questions that I had for the likes of Connor Walker and like people who are owning these brands that just really don't, and respectfully to them, they don't put themselves out there because maybe they feel like they don't need to or they don't want to. So I always try and be a founder that I wanted to be inspired by when I was starting out. And I think people can really sort of connect to me in that sense because, you know, I am trying to move mountains with this business, but I'm also like literally dancing on TikTok and like it's really not that serious.
Is it scary for you to also be the face of your brand?
Social
media can be cruel.
Yeah, I've had such a positive experience, to be totally honest. But one thing I would say is I think the more big Odd Muse gets, I probably receive that a little bit more. But I don't know, I just don't care. I really don't care. But I don't feel like I've hit it enough to, you know, be affected. Like I've never had that. I've had like a few comments, but you know, I just feel way more sad for people that have to like have a fake name and a like that's just crazy to me. Like,
my favourite piece of content I think I saw you make recently was like when you were wearing a dress that you released.
Yeah.
The black cap sleeve dress, and you're like, if you see anyone else, this is an Odd Muse dress. Like, you know, the one where you constantly say the brand name and like all the logos like over the photos. Like that is the one that really sticks in my head. Because sometimes I've seen like your content on other websites. And I'm
no, but for example, going back to like maybe negative comments and stuff, so many people will comment on things like, all this girl does is talk about people copying her. Clearly it's not. Please click through to Odd Muse and see how the many different types of content I'm doing. But also, guys, if you're being copied if your face is literally being on another brand or they're copying your design, speak up. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I'll talk about it till I literally die. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
But it's your baby. Like,
exactly.
I don't think it's flattering for someone to like steal your ideas.
Exactly, 100%. Like, people be like, all you do is talk about fast fashion but like, yeah, because it's a problem. Like, we're not going to speak about problems. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
What would you say to people that, because I know people that have always wanted to start their own brands, but they're too scared to like invest the money or take the initial leap. Like, what would you say to those people?
I mean, you've just got to be in it to win it, and a reality like that is business. And I feel like a lot of men go into business from like a monetary point of view and understand that, you know, you've got to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money. With my situation and maybe other girls going into fashion, there's a lot more emotion in it. There's a lot more passion, and that's why we have such an opportunity to succeed. But the money and the investment side of things is by far the scariest part. But unfortunately, it is a reality. So I genuinely went into Odd Muse, and it took 2 years of mental prep to say to myself, if I don't get this £12,000 back, you know, I can say I tried. Yeah. And that like takes a lot. But also one thing I would say as well, like one thing I really tried to explain to my parents was I'm investing this money into a brand, but most of that investment is going into stock. Yeah. Like I'm going to have stock. So even if the worst happens and I have to sell it all for cost price, like I'm going to get some money back. So I really sort of just, almost got to like girl math the risk. Like, to be totally honest, that would be my biggest bit of advice for any women wanting to go into like a fashion brand. Like, you're buying stock, like that stock, don't think that stock is worth nothing. You're not like putting it into, I don't know, crypto or any sort of online thing. You're literally going to get product that you can sell. You might not be able to sell it for the full price that you wanted to. Even if you sell it for half, you're going to be fine.
I do think as well, maybe with our parents' generation, is that they were always told to like finish school, get a 9-to-5, work till you retire.
Save for a house.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that is in society as well now. Like everyone sort of leaves uni or leaves college, goes to work, and like their next big thing is saving for a house.
Yeah.
I was not saving for a house. I didn't start saving for a house until a couple years ago. Like, I know that sounds so silly, but I just feel like there's so many, I'm big on like energy, and I've always said to myself, like, this is so weird, but I've always said to myself, money is easy. I've always told myself, if you can spend money so easily, why the hell can't you make money so easily?
Yeah.
So like everything.
You're spending that money on something.
Exactly. Money can go like this, money can come like that. And if it's not coming for you like that, then, you know, just know that it can, and there's a way that it can. So I don't know, there's a lot of delusion in my journey that has got me somewhere, but I never ever left uni and thought, yeah, I'll save for a house. And I think you have to have that sort of like not really advisory delusion to get somewhere. I think most successful people, you know, maybe didn't save for a house.
Well, it's like I was saying to my dad, like everyone that owns any big corporation started off with a risk. Jeff Bezos quit his job and started a bookshop in his garage.
Exactly.
And now it's like the biggest company in the world.
Exactly. Risk is reality. It is what it is.
No, it's one of those things that's really hard. I get that it's like can be scary, and your parents always want the best for you and they want you to be like safe and comfortable, but it's also very boring.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know, for some people, like it's not it. Like, for example, my sister always says to me, like, you know, I could never do what you do. I like going to work. I like knowing exactly what I'm going to earn. I like knowing exactly when I'm going to get paid. And I 1000% appreciate that. But if you want to go into business, risk is reality.
If you, Luna, as a woman leader, and maybe not necessarily in the fashion industry, but just as a female CEO in general, do you think that you've faced any like gender challenges at all?
To be totally honest, I don't think I have yet. I mean, I think the space I'm in, like women absolutely champion. Like when I think about female brands and female designers, don't get me wrong, there's so many men's designers that design for women that are amazing. Like the guy currently designing for Schiaparelli or JW Anderson, they're like high-end luxury. When it comes to this sort of mid-luxury price point that women actually are going to wear every day, and it's not for Kim Kardashian on the runway and on the catwalk or whatever. When it comes to this sort of mid-luxury price point that people can afford and that women want, this is the space I'm in that women are absolutely championing, I personally think. So don't think I've reached that yet. However, this year I am sort of focusing on, you know, who am I outside of Muse, and I want to get more into investing. And I think that's where I'm going to come into it, because when it gets like quite businessy, I think that's where, you know, people are surprised.
I think as well when you look at Dragon's Den as well, it's mostly male dragons, isn't it? But there's loads of women in business that have had successful businesses. And
I hear I need to look into it more, but like in terms of like women-led businesses getting investments, it's a lot lower than men. So I think definitely it's coming, but for the space I'm in right now, I've sort of kept myself to myself and spoke directly to my customers on social media. I've never took an investment or anything like that. So I think it might be coming.
You know, when you were talking about how you found it really important to be able to speak to all of your, like all the people that work for you, and that to be seen as like an accessible leader. Why do you think that's so important, and like how do you help create those supportive relationships in Muse?
I think it's so important because, again, as when we go back to what we maybe mentioned of people maybe seeing like startups as a bit of a risk more than an opportunity, your biggest opportunity is being able to like speak directly to people that you want to learn from. And I really respected that in Asos. Like I had a great fashion buyer, and normally in like a structure, you wouldn't really speak, I was a buyer's admin, you wouldn't really get that much access to your buyer. And I so appreciated her, and she would let me like write orders and let me do things that were like way beyond what I should be doing. Like I should have literally, all I was doing was creating the orders and taking it round to studio for shoots and making sure we have samples. Like I shouldn't be like deciding units for ASOS.com, and she allowed me that.
What a terrifying job.
Yeah, and I really, really respected that, and I've been really, really precious about keeping that, because ASOS taught me like that, experience and learning is just so valuable. And as the business grows, I'm really trying to protect that. So like as I'm bringing more senior people in, like the girls at whatever level get direct catch-ups with them and get to speak to them and learn from them and like have their one-to-ones. So yeah, it's a fine line when the business grows, because it's sort of like, what is my capacity when I have, currently I think I've got about 25 girls at the moment, but what will be my capacity giving everyone a piece of me when there's 100 girls or something like that? Or sorry, not girls, not just girls.
I was going to say, because you say
we
girls,
hired
did you?
Our first man.
Did you?
Yes.
So I was going to say, was it important to you to mostly hire women, or is it just happened by chance?
I think my team was genuinely like, all the applicants have been women.
Okay.
But
they're probably lovers of the brand, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, fashion is predominantly like women led. Also, again, my office is like not in London yet, so it's more so like local people working in fashion. It just tends to be more girls, because they're all come from fashion uni and stuff like that. So as I'm hiring more senior people, like I'm getting a lot more male applicants, and I actually hired my first man, which has been an amazing experience. And I'm sort of really excited to diversify my team, to be totally honest. But hiring at the very beginning is like a bit of a minefield. Like, it's when I first up until a year ago, putting job ads out for Muse was a nightmare. Like I couldn't get applications. Like it's just very difficult because of that risk. People feel like there is more progression in places like ASOS and more security in places like ASOS. Whenever you have like a board of senior people, don't try and, obviously there's going to be layers of management, but don't try and make people not accessible, because like people respect like learning so much.
I know it's not a question that I'd kind of put down originally, but you saying you're talking about future plans for hiring. If somebody wanted to come work for you, what would be the thing that would make them stand out? Because I'm assuming you read all the CVs, right?
Yeah. I actually I don't know if this is like normal, but all the CVs that come through to me lately are just like an amazing piece of artwork.
Oh wow!
It's no longer a sheet with words on it. Like people put photos of themselves on there, which I don't think is crazy necessary, but people do like, just like if they're listing their skills, they'll have like little icons like PowerPoint, Adobe, Photoshop, like all the icons. And I really appreciate a creative CV. Yeah. There's loads of examples online for that, like a creative CV. I really appreciate that. And the thing I most appreciate is a cover letter, because people can send out the same CV all day, but I like to see why you specifically want to work for Muse. So that's what I sort of look for, because I think in a creative CV you can see the passion, and in a cover letter you can get a bit more of that sort of ambition in there as well. So that's what I sort of look for in terms of like that first look.
It's weird because I've always worked at very corporate jobs where they literally are words floating on a page, and I'm not a creative person, but I hated doing it because it was just black and white words on a page, and it was like, it just didn't feel like authentically me.
That was like one of the things I did just before I left uni. Like we had a whole workshop on like building our CV, and they said to us like, be creative, don't just 2 words on a page. And I thought that was all my CVs now that come through are like that, and I really appreciate that.
I feel like I should have done an Elle Woods with like put pink scented paper on my CVs. Oh no, now I should wear I do this all the time where I don't wear my glasses.
Oh, I do that
so
all the time.
I can't see what I'm looking at.
I can't drive without my glasses.
Yeah, I'm the same as well.
I couldn't read the number plate on the test day. He was like, get in the car.
I think I had to really squint because I think I forgot my glasses on test day. So I was like, I probably shouldn't have admitted that. But anyway, when you start any company, you are literally every single person, right? You're the social media person, you're the buyer, the seller, like everything. How did you manage all of those different roles?
It was chaos. And when I first hired, my first hire, it was way overdue. But when I look back at that time, and arguably now, like I wear so many different hats. Like the team is still not fully grown. But yeah, it's chaos, but it's kind of like no one can run anything past me. Like I literally I feel like I do just understand, like, even if it's just on a basic level, all parts of Muse. So I actually like really like champion that era of like starting a business and being everyone.
But then so now you're transitioning to growing your team. Obviously letting go of things can be really difficult.
Again, I think I let it go way overdue to a point where it just completely was like mentally not okay for me. So I'm like happily like handing things over. But I'm still like involved in like everything to an extent. It's like if there's anything, nothing goes to socials or product, no product goes out, nothing goes out without my approval. So I still feel like I can manage that control. There's loads of things that I stop and say, oh no, we're not going to do that, or we're going to change that. But yeah, in terms of like handing things over, it's been quite seamless because yeah, I'm still in office most days and I'm still very much involved. It's just like having a bit more help.
So how do you manage that like CEO work now and your personal life? Because obviously like that, sometimes it feels like it takes over.
I feel like I'm just in this transition at the moment because genuinely like I officially started the brand when I was 22. I'm 27 on my next birthday. And I'm like, I've done nothing the last 4 years but work. So I'm really trying to like find what, like when I said to you earlier, like investment or anything, I'm really trying to find like what I want to do outside of Muse and like who I am outside of Muse rather than like just escaping like and just going on holiday for a week break from it. So I still feel like my answer is a bit, don't know yet, but that's my 2024 goal.
Have you tried any weird hobbies yet to see if you're going to like them?
I'm trying to get into horse riding.
I feel like a lot of people are really trying horse riding at the moment.
I'm very like, I like calm and like wholesome stuff. And I used to ride when I was younger. So like horse riding is where it's at for me at the moment. And just honestly like chilling out.
Is there anything else that you're like,
I literally don't leave the house. It's really bad. My friends joke. Like my friends were texting me to say like, oh, you left the house.
Oh my God.
I've been, since I did Runway in September, I've literally been hiding in my house.
So what was Runway like?
It was the most amazing experience, but leading up to it, it was just like insane chronic stress, like burnout. Like I still don't feel like I've fully recovered. I think that's one thing, like when you own a business, like they say like, oh, take your time, like self-care, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you genuinely don't have the time. Like I didn't have a week after Runway to relax. Like you have to sort of like keep it moving, like the show must go on, especially when you're like on socials and like every day, some way, somehow I have to show up, whether it's speaking to the team, whether it's a Zoom call, whether it's a meeting, whether it's something for socials, whether it's difficult. And I think I've never had the chance in the last 4 years to just be completely mind blank. So I really crave that. And Runway, like, yeah, it tipped me over the edge, but it was still the best thing I've ever done and I'm going to do it again this year.
So what was the reason for wanting to do Runway? Because I know a lot of like fast fashion brands have started to do their own runways.
I think I just wanted to do something that I love doing things that people don't expect from Muse. I love doing things that arguably if I had an investor, they'd be like, oh girl, like you can't do that yet. So again, I think it's the risk element. Runway was a risk. It was like more than I'd spend on my wedding, but
oh my God, I don't want to know how much you spent then.
But the brand grew amazingly. It was the best investment. Like everything about the brand doubled, like daily orders, the team, everything just went amazingly. And I saw that when we did our first pop-up shop in March last year, everything about the brand doubled. And I feel like I have to take these huge jumps that feel so scary to grow my brand. So yeah.
Because you had a pop-up in Australia, or like are you now officially launched in Australia?
So we partnered with David Jones in Australia, which is sort of like the Selfridges of Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got loads of like wholesale partnerships going on. We're in Harvey Nichols now. We're hopefully launching in like a huge department store in America this year. So yeah, all of that is just like scary, but I really believe that I can put this brand in front of everyone, and it, you know, some way, somehow there's going to be a nice flattering dress for every woman. So I'm really just, yeah.
It went crazy over in Australia, didn't it? When it launched?
Australia. I need to like visit Australia and like find out like understand like that market a little bit more, because they love it out there. But one thing I would say is Muse was born from like Australian mid-luxury brands that we was stocking on Asos. And mid-luxury is such a market out there. Like they don't necessarily shop fast fashion at all. They don't really, they do like luxury accessories, but it's this mid-luxury price point. And actually what you can get in Australia, like a little summer dress is probably about 300 quid. So Odd Muse steps in and you can get this really structured dress for about 150. Steps in as like a great price point. And that's why like places like David Jones like cannot get enough of it.
Maybe I need to go to Australia now just to see what
I've
it's
seen
all
loads
like
of people there. I think it's a January vibe out there.
Yeah, it must be. But like, I literally remember seeing like on LinkedIn and stuff like that, because you are very prominent on LinkedIn, like how crazy it was in Australia when you guys launched there.
Australia's, and this is one thing I would say, like just moving out of the question a little bit, but in terms of like growing your brand beyond the UK, like Australia, like the UK completely dies in January, but it's Australia's peak season. It's like Derby Day and it's like their summer and it's stuff like that. So I think one thing about growing up Muse has been, I have a customer all around the world and I never ever started this brand relying on the UK. I was much bigger in the US before I was ever in the UK.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I was sending at the moment we send 50% of our orders to the US and the rest is split between UK, Australia and other places. But I immediately was targeting other countries because the UK is hard. Like if you can make it in the UK, you can make it anywhere.
I feel like the UK has like a massive influx of like influencers and like all these people trying to sell stuff all the time.
It's so fast fashion led, like, and it's like, and obviously with like certain other things going on in the world, like sometimes the like economy is so affected, like it's such a difficult market. And I only hit it about a year and a half ago. Like I really wasn't in the UK at all. Like I was big on socials, but it was all American. So yeah, I think
that's really interesting. Actually, I didn't know that.
I just feel like if you want to grow a business like from a product perspective, the UK is amazing, but it's definitely the hardest. Definitely one of the hardest places.
I was going to ask you actually about your self-care routine before I got distracted by Australia.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like what do you do for yourself? Like everyone talks about self-care. Like I've seen 2024, like self-care is in.
Yeah.
So what is your version of self-care?
What is my version of self-care? At the moment, like I think self-care when you're like genuinely a really busy person and it's hard to fit in, I think it's just little things that you can do to make it a bit more manageable. Like I've all of a sudden started working from home so much and it's not ideal, but if you own your own business and you have that freedom and you just need to spend the day in bed with your laptop, like that's sometimes what I have to do and it's a reality. And I am really benefiting from just like not looking at my phone in the evenings. Like there's so many things like when you run a business, like especially when it's in fashion, like I could sit on Pinterest for about 4 hours and like the time just goes. Same with Instagram, same with TikTok.
Do you think you're doom scrolling, but actually you're working?
Exactly. Like you can almost justify it, but then like it doesn't work. So I think I honestly have seen the biggest benefit from like putting my phone down and just like doing nothing but skincare and stuff like that. So I think that's my routine is honestly just finding the time, and I feel such an achievement when I can find the time that I don't even think about like the steps. It's more so just like making sure you have that time, even if it's like an hour of your day.
I started doing this on the train, and I think people do find it a bit weird, but that's sometimes because I don't always wear makeup day to day. So if I'm going somewhere and I'm not, there's like LED face masks.
Yeah,
I will sit on the train with one.
Really? That's
I don't
crazy.
Care. People do look at me weird.
I sit in bed with mine and I love it.
I've sat on the plane with it. I've sat on the train with it.
I do plane. I definitely do plane.
Yeah, a lot of commuters from like where I live into London look at me like I'm an absolute psychopath. If I'm wearing this like
it is quite a scary
red,
thing.
Luminous mask. Yeah. I just don't care. This is the only time I've got to do
That's the thing as well. Like I don't care either. Like I walked from Liverpool Street here rehearsing my answers to the questions. People probably think, who's that crazy person talking to herself? I don't care. Like the point is, you just can't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Like self-care or not in life. Just don't care what anyone around you thinks.
I do think it's a thing about getting older though, isn't it? I feel like you care less when you get older.
That's so true as well. That is so true.
It's the best part about getting older.
Yeah, 100%.
So because I walk around talking to myself too.
Yeah, all day.
And people just think I'm an absolute...
I like to talk to myself in the car. I talk to myself all the time.
Oh yeah, I do it in the car as well.
Yeah, like no music gets played in my car. It's
or
just
in the
like
shower.
me to me.
In the shower, I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah.
So if someone interrupts me, like if my dog barks at me when I'm talking to myself in the shower, I'm like, please, this is my time. Leave me alone.
Talking to yourself is like, people don't talk about it enough. It's like, you have to do it. That's your time. That's your self-care.
It actually is. It's like when you're talking about like your delusions have got you somewhere, like Delulu is the Solulu. That's what I always think about myself in the head.
One of my friends' mums has recently like moved to Dubai, and she was telling me when I was visiting her that she like, if she's got a problem, she just talks to the wall. And I was like, that is such, she was like, why am I going to like waste someone else's time like venting about something? Like, I'm just going to talk to the wall.
I would talk to the mirror. I don't think I'd talk to the wall. I think talking to the wall is too far. My mum already thinks I'm actually crazy. So I think if I started doing that.
Yeah.
But I also talk to my dog too as well, to be fair.
Wow.
But
God,
that's probably why she does look at me like that. What are your like future aspirations for Odd Muse? Like where do you see it going?
I really want to build Odd Muse out to be, I don't want to say like an Asos.com, but I want to hit more boxes than what I'm hitting. At the moment, I feel like I am providing really cute dresses that you want to wear over and over again. And that was my mission. But I really want to expand that category wise. Like I really want people to just be able to come to Odd Muse and get more from it while balancing that sort of like challenge of like not over consuming, not buying too much, but just like being a bit of a worldwide solution. And to be honest, I just want to be able to like scale the brand as far as it can go without like it being such a challenge for me mentally. I want to really like be able to monitor that and like be myself and be Odd Muse, and Odd Muse can reach the highest points without so much sacrifice from myself, because the last 4 years have been like a crazy amount of sacrifice. And I'm willing to work, but like I'll blink and if the last 4 years have gone for me, like I'm 3 years away from 30, I really want to start like really just enjoying my success and enjoying my life a little bit more outside of work. But I don't want Odd Muse to suffer from that. So I think that's my goal. Like I don't see why I can't do both.
Yeah. I always think that every CEO I've ever spoken to, they've always said that that's the challenge, like because they've spent so much of their life making this brand.
Exactly. And I think, that is going to be the main challenge for me. But I don't think, like so many people when they talk about like stepping out of their business, like it's either like they have to sell a little bit of it on, or like they have to make like other sacrifices really. I don't want to make any more sacrifice, and I want to grow the brand as far as I can. So I think it's what that looks like is going to be the other challenge, because I don't feel like I've got loads of examples to look at.
Unless you start making Odd Muse horse clothing.
Yeah.
when you're horse riding. I always ask all of my guests the same final question. So if you could offer your younger self a piece of advice based on your life and career journey so far, what would it be?
I think it would be to just enjoy the moment, because there's so many things I've done in the last 4 years that I look back on, like Runway, for example, that maybe the experience was tainted a little bit and I didn't live in the moment. Like the day of Runway, everyone was like, wow, are you excited? And I was sitting there shaking. And I just think, and even when I've opened like the store in London and stuff, in that moment, I can't enjoy it. And I just think you have to enjoy the moment, because you're literally living your dream. And like people, you just don't realize that.
It's like you said, like the last 4 years of your life have kind of gone in like a blink.
And you just want to be able to look back at that and think right then in that moment, like was the best moment of my life.
Well, even though you're 3 years away from 30, like you still have so many years after that, right?
So, and it's funny, like I realised that the older I get, like on my 21st birthday party, I was crying because I was like, I'm getting so old. Life is like, not even that I'm getting old, but I was like, life is literally going, like all these horrible things are going to happen. Like, but as I get older, I'm like, wow, like I'm still young and I need to start living.
Yeah, to be fair, I actually also did that on my 21st.
Yeah, I was like a mess.
Yeah, I was sat at my desk being like, I'm getting old, blah, blah. And I woke up on my 28th and was like, meh.
Oh, yeah. I'm like looking forward to my 27th. I'm like, I'm ready. Like 26 was like difficult. I need 27 now.
It's because everyone keeps saying like 30 is the new 20, isn't it? So like now I'm excited to get to 30.
I think that's it.
Weird.
I think it's that. Yeah.
But thank you so much for like taking time out of your lack of self-care time to come and talk to me. I really appreciate it. And like, I am a big fan of you and the brand anyway.
Much. So thank you.